I don't even want a lot when the genie comes around. Got my team, we run the block, now they tryna take my sound. This is nothing, we can't stop, rising up, they sitting down. They be running for my spot, guess I'll have to take them out. Leave a cloud in your zones, take them out. Getting rowdy at shows, simmer down.
Alright guys, day 3 is about to fucking start. We are headed back down to the auditorium, the theater, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for Mastermind Sunday. So this is an exclusive day that we do for our Mastermind students. We run 3 programs. The CLA, where we help you grow your business to get between around 0 and 7K usually. The 10K Mastermind, once you are making around 6 to 7K, you can graduate into the 10K Mastermind. It is our next level program where we teach you how to not only get over $10,000 a month, but sustain and then scale to around 15K a month. And then once you're at around $15,000 a month consistently in your online business, you are able to apply for the $1 Million Mastermind, where we teach you how to hire employees, build a fucking team, become a better leader, and honestly work at getting out of in your business. Because most entrepreneurs are consistently working in their business rather than on their business, and that's why they end up regretting it, hating it, despising it, and more. So each level has its perks, and if you are a Mastermind student, not only do you get one-on-one access to us on a larger scale, but you also get the events for free. So you get to show up to the other days just to absorb information, and you get an exclusive day. As of today, we were bringing in special speakers like Eli Wild to deliver a bunch of fucking value. It's gonna be fun.
Saw them leaning in that wishing well, wish them well. We live the scenes they believe within themselves. Listen, help, I taught that freedom.
It is, we are on day 3, you guys. Bring your fucking hands in. Why y'all like so distant from me? What the fuck? You 2 videographers, alright?
Hands in, Daniel.
It's day 3, alright? We've already impacted over 450 people's lives up to date, up to this point. And now we get to watch Garrett Gunderson and Eli Wild.
Yes.
Focus. Now we get to watch Garrett and Eli absolutely dominate, and then we're gonna do a Q&A. So let's fucking crush it today. Everybody show up with energy, passion, intensity, enthusiasm. PT Dom on 3. 1, 2, 3. PT Dom! Ow!
Let's go.
Conversing with the studio audience here. Welcome guys, day 3, Mastermind Sunday. Looks like it's a bit of a bonus for some of the people who aren't Mastermind students, which is super awesome. You guys are gonna get a shit ton of value today. So if you don't know me, Xteen is my social media name, Christine is my birth name, just to clarify those things. And I'm your MC today, so without further ado, I would love to introduce Garrett, our next speaker, who has, I gotta check my notes because I didn't study up on him. So I was gonna introduce him as a guy that has a pretty all right book, as rated by Nick here. Personal rating is probably a pretty good book. Former CrossFitter, Money Jesus, he's great with money. And he just wrote a book, Money Unmasked, that drops soon, and I believe that it will have a ton of value for you. There's also a kid's book version of it for those of you like me and Nick who would prefer that. So Garrett's gonna come blow your minds. He's just an average guy doing average things, and if he can do it, you can do it too. Yeah! Woo!
You guys call me Money Jesus. I pulled my hair back, which I look fucking not really like Jesus today, but that's all right. Like, here's the thing. I look how I want to look in the world of finance, where everybody else is dry and they're drab and they wear suits and they play pretend all day long. They act like they don't make mistakes, that you could just trust them with your money, and that one day, someday, you'll finally live the life that you love. And that's not true. The bottom line is, when it comes to money, it's merely a reflection of how we see ourselves. And until we get clear about who we are and what we're worth, money is always going to be a level of disappointment. But unfortunately, society fucks everybody up around money, because they say that you should want more of it, but at the same time, you should feel bad for having so much. So people remain confused. They remain stuck in this dilemma of, I want more, but if I have more, does that make me a bad person? And all that's really just bullshit that holds people back, holds people down, and gets them stuck in a grind where they're always working harder, but they don't end up with more, because no matter how hard you work, if you have the wrong philosophy, you're gonna have limitation. So today, I wanna help you understand what is money, who are you, and how can you be so aligned that money becomes a byproduct of you being a value creation machine and create a life that you don't want to retire from and build the life that you love. And part of that, I want to give you specific frameworks to help you to keep a whole lot more of what you make without budgeting. Because I don't know about, do you guys who likes budgeting? Like, fuck budgeting, man. Like, and if you're weird and you like it, then go ahead and do it. But for the rest of us, we already know that nobody shrinks their way to wealth, and people that budget get caught in reduction instead of production. Production is the game of wealth. Being a value creator, understanding your talents, your skills, your abilities. And the more people you serve, or the more deeply you impact those people, the more value you create. And the more value you create, the better your life is. And yet the world tells you, if you'll just scrimp, save, sacrifice, delay, defer, and budget your life away, then one day, someday, when you're old as fuck, you can finally enjoy it. I don't want to wait till I'm 85 to go get crunk up in the club. I can barely do that shit now. Like, the only thing that happens when people are 85 is they wake up, and some days they wish that wouldn't happen. Their body's sore, their eyes are swollen shut. Now you got to go to America and be fucking president. Have you seen how fucking old our president is? Like, I mean, your guys' president's a dick here in Canada, but at least he's good looking, you know? I mean, shit. Yeah, I might tell a joke here or there as I kind of go through this, but today, I like this. So fucking old. I like hearing that. This is gold. I like it. Got some laughing and crying emojis. I like hearing all this kind of shit, you know? But money, like, people believe that it's the root of all evil, but what it is the root of most manipulation. And when we can really understand it in the right context and who we are as human beings in this world of value, then money should never be anything you're ashamed of. It should chase the value creator that you are, but do you know what you're worth? And let's break down what worth is. It comes down to 3 factors. The first one is price. And I came from this town called Price, which is fucked up that I came from a town that's by the same name of what fucks most people up when it comes to money. So if I do it right, hopefully it'll change the name of the town to Value, because price is only about what we pay. And if you spend your life trying to save at the expense of creating value, you're going to limit what your ability is, because saving and like cutting back is isolated. And the game of isolation comes from scarcity, and scarcity is a paradigm that destroys all wealth. No amount of luck, saving, discipline, rate of return, or financial advisor will save you if you're stuck in the paradigm of scarcity. Scarcity is born of fear, and unfortunately people see from scarcity, if someone's profitable, they think it's evidence of deception, but profit is evidence of value creation. And yeah, maybe we could point out the few people in the world that have been deceptive and they've done all they can to take from people instead of give back. But what I know is entrepreneurs are always creating value. It's only like a few people that fuck up the whole world for the rest of us, and then all of a sudden we're taught in society to put money in a place where if we have too much of it, it's because we did something wrong. Can you see how confusing and what a dilemma that might cause? So there's 3 measures of worth, and if you understand these 3 measures, it will liberate you. Price is the first one, and most people get stuck in price and price alone. That's what you pay. But the second one is cost. So cost is the economic impact. So the last 2 days, and even today, you have an opportunity to do something most people don't ever do. Take a leap and invest in yourself. Not in like a half-hearted way. Like when you think about how some people work out, yeah, they spend time in the gym, but they aren't doing shit. And there's a lot of things around wealth and health that are so much the same. Misinformation. Remember the food pyramid? What a dumb fucking idea the food pyramid was, you know? Like, I remember going to college and they taught me the food pyramid. 6 to 11 servings of carb, no fat, fruits and vegetables up there. And it's like, that's been proved wrong. We fucking know what macros are. We know what, different types of eating. We've seen what happens when even people say you should never do carnivore, yet people get results. Or other people say you never do paleo. Like, there's all this misinformation. Well, in the world of finance, there's misinformation because people are stuck in price and price alone. And to quote Jay-Z, there's tons of people that know the price of everything but the value of nothing. I don't know if it was Jay-Z or Drake, one of those fuckers, I should say Drake because we're in Canada and, just to honor our Canadians here. But price is the first piece. Cost is the second piece. That's the economic impact. I've made investments since I left college every single year that were greater than all 4 years of my college tuition, year in and year out. Joining my first mastermind group for 25 grand when that was a struggle to come up with 25 grand. Actually, while I was in college, I paid for this system in finance. It was $5,000. I didn't have $5,000, and so I put some of it on a credit card. And yet, when you look at what happened when I wrote a book when I was 27 years old, Killing Sacred Cows, it became because I made that investment. I started to see through the bullshit of money, and I had a little bit of belief in myself. So what would it take for you to believe enough in yourself to invest in yourself rather than just give it to some Wall Street manager? Who the hell is trusting Wall Street? Like, tell me about the inspiring Wall Street movie. Is it Wall Street, the movie that's about legalized white-collar crime? How about Wolf of Wall Street? That's white-collar crime, but with just more drugs. And naked Margot Robbie, so that was kind of cool. And the third one, Boiler Room, that's more drugs, more crime, but Ben Affleck for some reason. I don't understand. So, and plus, would you trust Wall Street with anything else? Like, would you take your kids to Wall Street daycare? Fuck that, Brandon. They'd be like, oh, sorry, we lost 8% of your son today, but it was just toes, just toes. Be like, oh, and we may have mixed up the formula with the cocaine. We got suspect when there was an inside the park home run and kickball and got a bloody nose after a fight with the bully, but not from the fight, probably just from the cocaine. That's Wall Street. And that's where we're supposed to put our faith in our life, in Wall Street. Why? Instead of yourself? Well, some people, I was talking earlier, say, well, but what if I fail? What if I make a mistake? Well, let me assure you this. You will fucking make mistakes. That is part of the process. Mistakes are part of the tuition. They're part of how we learn and make adjustments. But the most expensive tuition, some people think, is making a mistake, but the most expensive tuition is never investing in who you are. In putting your life in someone else's hands that's saying, well, there's good benefits and a salary and one day a pension and they're going to take care of me, and you lose your life along the way. You lose the very essence of what I would call your sole purpose. Your values, your abilities, and your passions for the highest context of living. It's who we are when we're at our best, fully self-expressed. But tons of people want us to believe that it's about scrimping and sacrificing and saving and delaying, like I said before. But for what extent? Anytime the ends justifies the means, we're fucked. So if we're like, oh, I'm just going to do this, and then in 10 years it'll be better. And one day, someday. That one day, someday never comes when we form these habits that have nothing to do with creating that life that we love. So what would it take for you to just take that leap and do something for yourself?
Hello, it's my turn to talk.
Oh, okay.
You guys ready to scoop your brains off of the floor with this next guy? We all know it's Eli, but I just want to tell a quick, short little story beforehand. He doesn't know it, but you've helped my sales game tremendously. Back when I was in the Mastermind, I used to YouTube this guy for hours on end and just watch sales videos and watch, man, the one line that I took away. And I remember saying this to Brian, because Brian was talking about when I coach, how I talk. And the one thing that I took was it's the space between the notes that makes the music. Yeah. So when you are talking, intentional pauses and inflections, whatever it is, in your voice, and be intentional with your words. And that's how you can help your sales game and help to influence people to make the right decision for them. So after watching that for hours on end, he came into the Mastermind actually and did a training for us in there, and everyone else was scooping their brains up off the floor, and I was just like watching it on, like I was watching it on replay. So if you guys don't know who he is, I'm just gonna read straight from here because I can't keep numbers in my head, but he's generated $12.7 million worth of product for Tony Robbins in 24 hours. So he holds the record for sales. Nobody's gonna cheer for that? All right, so yeah, $12.7 million worth of product sold in 24 hours. So if you guys don't learn something today from this guy, then I don't know what to tell you, you're in the wrong room. So without further ado, we're gonna bring out Eli. We're gonna have a Q&A at the end for 15 minutes, so save your Q's for the end. We're gonna rip through them. The man of the hour. Welcome to the jungle.
All right. Ooh. Hey. Everybody give it up. Woo! So how many of you are ready to take your life, your business, your communication, your sales to the next level? If that's you, put it in the chat and say, that's me. If you're ready to go, I better hear you guys say, let's go. Let's go. Because I'm going to break down the science, the psychology, the mindset, the framework that has allowed me to sell 9 figures in coaching sales. And if you're here, I know you want to sell more. If you want to sell more, put a me in the chat right now. In fact, I am going to ask you more questions and get more interaction from you in this workshop than you've been asked in the last 3 months of your life. Do not get tired of asking these questions. I'm asking them for a very specific reason, because I believe this. In order for your life to change, your business to improve. By the way, who wants their business to improve? You guys? Well, I believe something new must come into your life, and that could be this information, could be these strategies, could be some of the wisdom that you've heard here today, but also something new needs to come out of you. How many of you have read a great book, got great information, had somebody tell you what to do, and you're like, man, that sounds like a good idea, but you got all pumped up, and they did absolutely nothing with it? Have we all done this before, yes or no? Yes. I know I have. How many of you have done it more than once? So if we do it over and over again, that becomes a pattern. And I know a lot of you are in your life right now, in your business, in your income, in your standards, based upon patterns that you picked up in your life. Today's about breaking some of those patterns around how you think, how you act, how you communicate with others and within yourself. If you're ready for this, say, let's go. Let's go. And so there's 2 questions I want to break down here today. But before I even get to these questions, let me ask you this. How many of you have ever had a time in your life, and be honest now, this is going to tell me a lot about you. How many of you have ever had a time in your life where maybe you had an opportunity to sell somebody? You had a call on your calendar. You had an opportunity where you could share your wisdom, your knowledge, your talent with somebody else in the capacity where you could actually change their life and make some money. We've all had that opportunity before, yes or no? Yes? How many of you in that situation, maybe it happened one day when you had that meeting and the person canceled? We've all had that before, yes? And in that moment when they canceled, you honestly felt a little bit relieved. You're like, God, thank God I don't have to take that call. Have you had this happen before, yes or no? Anybody? Do we have some honest folks here, yes or no? Well, then if that's you, you might be suffering from what we call PTSD, post-traumatic sales disorder. Today's about breaking you out of the pattern, the psychology, the mindset that is keeping you stuck in your life and your income so you can get more out of everything you want. And so today's all about the psychology of sales and influence. And these 2 questions are what really were on my mind when I got into my sales journey. I'm going to break down my story a little bit here today, but only enough to give you context as to how I came up with the frameworks that we've installed into our business and to some of the biggest companies in the world that are going to help you today. But again, it's not about giving you information. I want to make sure that you're playing full out, firing up that chat, because this is about you having an experience that's going to change something inside of you so you get more out of your life and you actually do something with the information that you've gotten here this weekend, so that we don't go back into the same pattern of consuming knowledge, being a consumer, not a producer. You want to produce results, it's going to take the psychology, the mindset, but also this framework. So these 2 questions what were on my mind. 1, why do human beings do the things they do? And I'm going to tell you right now, as far as it comes to sales, human beings do things for one reason and one reason only, because they feel like it. A lot of you aren't getting sales because you're trying to get people to buy. Instead, you should be creating an environment where people feel like buying. I'm going to break down how to do that here today. The second question that was on my mind was, how can 2 people with the same script, same words, selling the same product at the same price point to the same audience, same exact everything, how is it 2 people can go through this weekend's training? Some people become very, very successful. Some people don't. What is the difference that ultimately makes a difference? We're going to break it down, and it all starts with this concept called pattern recognition. So if you have a script, you have an offer, you have how you run your day, your business, your life, that's a pattern. Today, this weekend is about breaking some of those patterns that you're not conscious of, but recognizing patterns not only in you, but in the people you're communicating with. Because I truly do believe the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your communication. When you make that offer and you hear that pause, or you get that objection, there's a pattern of thought, a pattern of feeling, a pattern of emotion that happens inside of you. And it's all about energy. A lot of you are trying to convince people to buy with your mouth, but you're showing them how they shouldn't buy with your energy. Today, we're going to get down to what ultimately needs to be transferred inside of you to make somebody compelled to act. We're going to recognize those patterns. We're going to change those patterns.
I need a shout, no chase. My girl need a wine in the state. My mom need a house for the late. So I got some money to make. They told me I got what it take. So I got to take it all back. I told them I need my pay. I need my 50 for tax. I done ran
I
low
want
on
you
my
all to write down, and you don't have to write this down in the chat, but write down on a piece of paper, how much money do you believe, if you took the next year and you went all in on yourself, how much money do you honestly think you can make? You're hearing some of the numbers. It's amazing what Brian's done, what Cole have done. People investing $2,000, $3,000 and making $30,000 in a month. I'm like, what? 10, 20, 30, 50x? We got people investing a couple grand a month, making $300,000 a month, and they're giving you the formula. If you went all in on you, what is the max amount of money you could see yourself making that you could vision with absolute certainty and faith in your future? What could you see as possible for you? Write that number down. And then whatever that number is, let's say it's $250,000. I want you to subtract how much money you made in the last 12 months from that number. So if it's 250 and you made 50 last year, you would write down 200 and put that number in the chat. The money you want to make in the next 12 months minus what you made in the last 12 months. We got 500K, we got 110K, 200K, 590K, 250, 150, 80, 340, $300,000, 215 maybe. Give me some certainty, Alexi. 900,000, 200,000, let's fucking go. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. I want you to realize that you pay either way. You either pay to know or you pay for not knowing. What you're all telling me is that last year, you paid life $100,000, $700,000, $300,000, $200,000 for not knowing what Brian and Cole have been trying to teach you, not stepping in and going all in on yourself. You're either going to pay to know or you're going to pay for not knowing. How much longer do you want that to be your story? How much longer, how much are you going to pay life in the next 12 months for not knowing what they know? You need to do something in this moment to commit yourself to the outcome that you said that you want. I remember when I went to that event, Donald Trump, Tony Robbins, Susie Orman, Robert Kiyosaki, all of these people. I mentioned that I saw Tony and he made an offer for his Unleash the Power Within event. It's part of the story I usually don't tell. He made this offer. It was $900 to go to his event. And it was $100 off if you signed up that day. My rent was $400. I walk to the back of the room, take out my ATM card, and my hand is like shaking. I'm like, am I gonna do this? And I went to the back table, and I didn't like the sales guy. And I said, oh, that's like a sign from God that I'm not supposed to do this. A lot of times somebody will click on something and the link doesn't go right. They're looking for a sign, they're looking for a reason not to instead of a reason to. Some little things happens that you make in your head. Do you think that I signed up for the event that day, yes or no? I did not. In fact, it wasn't Tony Robbins that got me to sign up for his event. Something magical happened that night that changed my entire life. You see, my entire life, I was caught in a pattern. I'd go to work, come home, work out sometimes, have a few beers, eat some ice cream, and watch TV. That was my pattern. Despite all the inspiration, despite all the great stories I heard, I still couldn't get over that inertia to go all in on myself. And so I found myself immediately sitting back home, going back into the same pattern. And that night, as I was flipping around the channels on the TV, I flipped on CNN. And there was a rerun of the Larry King Show where he was interviewing one of my boyhood heroes, a man named Christopher Reeve. Guys remember Christopher Reeve? Yeah. Who was Christopher Reeve? Superman. And as I'm watching this interview, I heard Larry ask Christopher Reeve a question that it put some fire in my veins. I got so angry, I got so frustrated, I was so pissed off hearing this question that it ignited a fire in me. He was being interviewed and Larry asked Christopher Reeve this question. He says, Mr. Reeve, does it bother you that at one point in your life, you were the strongest man on the planet? You were a superhero. Women wanted to be with you, men wanted to be you. You were Superman, you could do anything. And here you are today, sitting in these studios with 2 tubes in your neck just to help you to breathe. Does it bother you that a team of people had to come in here with you today just to do things you used to do on your own, like go to the bathroom? Mr. Reeve, does it bother you that you're physically paralyzed? And Christopher Reeve, with all the stature, all the poise, all the grace, all the confidence, looked right at him. And he said, you know what, Larry? It doesn't bother me. But what does bother me is this. There are men and there are women out there in this world today, right now, who are physically capable of doing anything they want in their lives, but they are paralyzed in their mind. And Christopher Reeve, here we have a man that in his last 3 years on this earth, every single day was doing research for stem cells. Every single day he was writing books. He was doing all that he could with what he had to make the world a better place. And if that question wasn't bad enough, Larry asked him, so Christopher, tell me this, are you afraid of dying? He said, you know what, Larry, I'm not afraid of dying, but I tell you this, the day I do go out, the day I do leave this planet, I'm gonna go out climbing the mountain of success like a champion, like a victor, and not die at the bottom, complaining about my circumstances like a victim. It's going to be people like you who go out into their community, because right now you have people on your Instagram, people in your community that are digging their graves with their teeth. And this world that we're in, pharmaceutical products and people on drugs trying to get out of the uncomfortableness, they're shoving food down their face because they're not uncomfortable with themselves. You need to be that beacon of light, that leader, and take a stand for people, but it starts with taking action and you taking a stand for yourself. Thank you guys so much.
I need a shower, no chase. My girl need a wine and a steak. My mom need a house with a lake. So I got some money to make. They told me I got what it takes.
Dude, absolute fire. Cole, Brian, killed it. The community, this show, this is awesome. I learned a lot just watching these guys, being in this environment. Let's go. Follow these dudes. Let's go.
Slayed it. That wraps it up, bro. That is the end of the 6th ever Challenge the Champions All Access Virtual Summit with PT Domination, and it went fucking amazing. Eli slayed it, Garrett slayed it, other coaches slayed it, a bunch of fucking value. We sold a lot of new students. Super, super happy about how this weekend went. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Peace.